The world of lost media is an interesting one because as time goes on, everything gets consumed by it. The older the type of media gets, the more forgotten it becomes unless someone preserves it. Regardless, no matter what type of media it is, there will always be someone who gives a shit about it and will do whatever it takes to find what they saw when they were younger. I've always personally been fascinated with lost media and the old ancient architecture of how games are constructed. With every game I've played so far, I always try to take a look at the lore and the history involved in making it. Sometimes I end up discovering things that I didn't even know about. So here are some of my findings of lost media in old games. Silent Hill 2, Theme of Laura. Everybody knows the Silent Hill series unless you squirm a lot playing the psychological horror games. The second installment, released way back in 2001, was the most memorable of this ongoing series, and rightfully so. It's up there with the first game in the atmosphere and the story. What stood out to me the most when I played it was the soundtrack, with multiple depressing songs that was sad as shit. But there's one song that caught my eyes and my ears, called The Theme of Laura. This song is played with an intro cinematic where you get a taste of what the game's about. You can hear this version on its own through YouTube and Spotify, but there is another version of this song shown in the E3 release trailer, where it extends the song by about 3 minutes with a guitar solo. And then it's ruined by some orgy sounds. It's such a shame because it's a really good addition. I tried looking through various sources and I couldn't find anything other than an alternate acoustic version of this song, and fan recreation stitching it back up like a stuffed animal, with little bits and pieces here and there. The full unedited song has never surfaced and I'm not even sure it exists anymore. But judging by how there's an alternate version found, maybe there's a chance considering that they needed the song in the first place to make the trailer. There's a remake of this song since the remake came out, but it's not quite the same and the original remains lost. Hopefully the guy who composed the song has a copy and releases it someday. It has been about 24 years. The Wizard 101 Alpha Disc. Wizard 101 is a really old, well-known MMO with lots of paywalls and microtransactions, but it didn't used to be this way, except for the subscription model. That was always there. For lots of kids, it was truly a magical experience. Back in 2023, a Reddit user posted a finding of a mysterious disc, which at the time nobody knew what was on it, and I didn't either. Some speculated that it was probably an alpha or beta version of this game, where there were virtually no microtransactions or paywalls, where they could play to their heart's content. Until it showed up one day on eBay by the same Reddit user, people quickly took notice, and one crazy dude spent about $250 for it. The user who bought it later uploaded their findings to YouTube and other archive sites. It turns out it really wasn't a demo disc, it was just a disc you give people to promote your game, or what they call a press release disc. It showed how people enjoyed working there at the company before they got old and tired of doing this shit. Look at him. So full of vitality, playing with polygons. Even though this was just marketing material and it wasn't what people expected, there does exist alpha discs of this game. And we know that because back in 2013, a newsletter was released where there were mentions of test discs next to this distorted Trolls doll. So we do know that they exist, and it was shown once or twice by the developers themselves on their livestream. Supposedly though, they were given out to family members and friends of the developer team, but no public copies have ever surfaced and most likely never will. It's sad to say, but people still have to fork over $10 a month to enjoy 17-year-old graphics. Alan Wake, Alan's Story. Alan Wake is a really old thriller action puzzle game involving supernatural beings. If you want to know more about this game, this should really sum it up. Is the game similar to Grand Theft Auto? Go, 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 go! Oh my god, it's Bob the Builder! He's come to tear me a new one and build a new ass. I see you, bitch. Obliterated. Incinerated. According to a Reddit user, along with the launch in 2010 and 2011, there used to be an official site dedicated to people who were really invested in understanding the psyche and the private life of Alan Wake. This site would contain a variety of things such as conversation messages between characters, a link to a dead forum, and information on the in-game locations. Lore. And we do know that it does exist because we could just check the internet archives for it, but there really isn't much info to go off of other than a deer that stares at you because, unfortunately, it was available only for a couple months after the game launched. If you were to visit this website using Internet Archive, you can't access the whole thing, due to Java being gone now. These days, most game forums have been replaced by Reddit communities. Except GameFAQs, that's still alive for some reason. Maybe the web designers might have images, or they might have a whole layout of what the website used to look like, but contacting them would be very difficult considering how long it's been. It would be nice to take a look at how the website used to look though, even if it is dated. Portal 2 Beta. This game doesn't really need an introduction. I mean, I played it and all you do is just solve puzzles by moving blocks. The story for this game is never told, so you have to figure it out through the environments, or like me, look at the wiki. But what it did really well was introduce new ways to make it more difficult to move blocks. In 2009, Valve started work on Portal 2, which to me it's pretty amazing because it only took 2 years to make, where nowadays games take 10 years to put out. Some aspects of the beta included display models like a couple or a mutated nuclear family, test chambers, and a sad looking room with a ball in it. Some mechanics never made it into the final game, like a self-esteem field, which was just made to slow you down apparently, like depression. The most important changes though were to the characters themselves, namely GLaDOS. Instead of being powered by a potato, they're powered by nothing. A Morgan Freeman core that was supposed to spam you with random facts and had more of an important role in the game. And finally, a new protagonist named Mel instead of Shell. It really doesn't matter much because you always play it in first person anyways, and it's not like they talk either. Maybe one is hotter than the other. But what do you guys think? I like the blonde. To my knowledge, you can play the reconstruction of the beta as a mod, but as far as the voice lines or what the story was like, it will probably never see the light of day from Valve's private vault. And that's about it. If there's any other types of lost media or even something you want to share, feel free to come join our Discord and talk about it. Or maybe you could just leave some in the comments. These were just some of my findings on games I've played because usually I like to dive deep into the ass crack of the lore and maybe something I think is interesting. Beyond that, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys.